There you go. Yeah. Yeah. The LiDAR. Oh, dude. Hopefully. Um, Nothing dramatic. Um, Update from our last one. I still don't have my refund from Best Buy. So there's that. We're a little at 15. They sent me an email yesterday that they released the refund. I talked to PayPal, and PayPal says they have nothing. Nothing's come through from Best Buy. So, it is what it is. I'm trying to remain calm.
We go to multi-channel, but am I echoing in your ear now? No?
Nope.
All right, let's jump back over to the YouTubes and see if I'm echoing over there. Make sure we're good. Hello, hello. Go to multi-channel. There we go. All right, we're good. No?
Nope.
All right. You're not echoing either. All right. Looks like it's playing nice. Okay, so we're back up. We're back up. So nobody was in here to listen to what I was saying earlier anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So okay, so they tell you that the refund is processing or processed?
No, they said they released it.
Oh, okay.
Your funds are back, blah, blah, blah. But what was funny is it wasn't the right amount. it was less. So I called and tried to figure that out, and they said, well, it's just the shipping isn't in there yet. Once they release it fully, you'll see everything. And I'm like, So I don't know. I'm gonna call them again tomorrow just to be like, hey, talk to PayPal. What are we doing here? But
Oh,
I don't know, dude. They're
that is
nuts.
savage. So
Yeah.
savage. Well, while we're waiting for the room to fill up, I got a phone call, a couple texts from Stevie Richards,
Mm-hmm.
and he had been debating
World
on
famous wrestler
the
and
world famous
YouTuber.
wrestler. Well, I would have called him Michael Manna, but nobody would know what the hell I'm talking about.
Mm.
Well, he has been debating on getting rid of his iMac. He wanted to go like a little more mobile setup for his gym so he could take it off his desk and take it in there and do his live stuff and not have to worry about doing a whole new setup or getting a whole new laptop. So he went
Good idea.
into Micro Center. They had a pretty good deal on the 2019 i9, 1 terabyte, 16 gigs of RAM. I think it was 16 gigs of RAM. And it was like 2,400 or 2,200, 2,400 for the 16-inch.
That's usually about $3,000, right, for that
Yeah.
configuration?
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a really, really good deal.
Mm-hmm.
So he picked it up, took it back home, and it was not getting past the Apple logo. The bar was stuck. Boot it, reboot it, go, whatever. So he's like, well, this isn't working. So he took it back, and they gave him another one. And he gets home, boots up fine, and he starts copying over all his data, and it gets moved over, and then all of a sudden he goes and he's testing, and he's like, I'm not really happy with the results. He said, I'm getting the pinwheel of doom when I'm typing in notes, and I'm listening to a podcast and it's stuttering. He's like, what? So in the middle of all this, he goes and reboots it or does some sort of update, and I've never seen this before. He gets a black screen and it pops up with a file folder and a question mark. And basically it means is it can't find the OS to boot up from. And
Wow.
yeah, and he called me. He's like, I don't know what this is. Have you ever seen this before? And I was like, no. So I quick Googled it for him. And it turns out that when the system reboots and it can't find an OS, it will look, I guess, on the drive and where the backup is or whatever. And if it can't do that, it throws that symbol up. And there's 3 major things that I saw that could be an issue. And it was one that your cable on the hard drive is loose, which this is a laptop for God's sakes, and everything's soldered.
You're right. Yeah,
So,
that's what I was gonna say.
So okay, that's not good. B, the hard drive is corrupt. Or C, there is a corrupt file in the hard drive, and you need to go into you need to go into safe mode and repair it, and you should be okay, and it should take you back in. And he's asking me, and I'm going through this, and I was like, he's like, so what should I do? And I said, turn it off and take it back. And I was like, screw that, because there's a myriad of issues. So he took it back. And he he got his money back, and he's like, look, I got something to do this afternoon. I want to get the iMac. He's like, I think that's what I want to do, but I got to think about it. So he came back and he called me and he was like, yeah, we talked about it. And he went back this morning, and when he got there, they had talked about recalling all of the laptops after he told him what was going on. Well, they took him. This is what they told him. We took out a bunch of them. We tested them. They work fine. And he's like, and? Well, we wanted to know if you wanted this one instead. You could, and you'll be happy. No, I don't want it now. And they're like, oh, okay. And he's like, so you opened them all up? Yeah, we needed to make sure they were right. And he's like,
bullshit.
He's like, uh-huh. He's like, how do I know you're not just giving me the one back that you were able to reboot and
Right.
fix from?
That's
So
exactly what it is. Because there's nobody. You and I aren't going into Micro Center and saying, "Hey, here's $2,400. Give me the new 16-inch MacBook Pro," and then it's open, and we're like,
yeah,
"Oh, okay, cool."
no.
No.
So he was just like, look, he's like, look, I may look dumb. He's like, I know I don't look like a smart guy. I got the hair and I'm like a bodybuilder. He's like, but I know what I'm doing. He goes, don't try to pull that crap on me, because they started asking, did you reboot it? Did you go
Of
into
course.
reboot? Did you do that? And he's like, oh my God.
Did
So
did he end up getting the iMac?
he's debating.
Because what's crossing my mind is I wonder if he's got something because you said that he transferred his stuff.
Whoa, that was the other thing. They told
Okay.
him, they said, they were asking him questions about, and he goes, well, when did this happen? He goes, well, I transferred my data over and then it started. Hey guys, what's going on, everybody in the chat? Let me finish this story and then we'll jump into the iPhone stuff. So they said, well, what did you transfer over? He says, oh, like 600 gig of stuff. And they go, whoa, that's too much.
No, that shouldn't matter.
You're
But
only supposed to transfer over 500. And he goes, so let me get this straight. He goes, you want me to stop it in the middle of a process that does the whole thing and you don't stop it? How do I do that? And I said, I've never seen that before. Right. And he goes, so I can't stop it in the middle of it. And you show me where Apple says don't transfer over more than 500 gigs.
nah, bullshit.
Exactly.
The problem that he has right now is Apple isn't open.
Yeah.
Because if he would, even if he would have bought that from Micro Center, he could have brought it to the Genius Bar and got it taken care of.
And they either would have replaced it or refunded it, whatever.
Did you ever hear? We'll get into the phone thing, but that just reminded me. I saw an article when everything started shutting down and Apple shut their retail down, and there was an article about if you had a device in there to be fixed, that you were screwed.
Yep, you weren't able to get it.
And I was just telling my wife this the other day. I'm like, can you imagine if you had your phone or like your iMac or something?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, come back get it tomorrow, and then they shut down. They're like, oh. I haven't heard anything else about that. Like I think that would be a huge deal, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you call the customer service line, they could work something out, a loaner or something. I don't know. But no, we haven't heard anything about it. It's just been kind of like, it is what do you want them to do? You know what I mean? I wouldn't blame them either for just being like, I don't know what to tell you. So,
yeah.
But anyway, so on to the Apple stuff. Speaking of Apple, there was a lot of rumors about Apple. I shouldn't say rumors. Typically, Apple has a keynote in March. And in this keynote, they will do, I don't know, maybe iPad refreshes, little things here and there. But late last year, they were talking about a budget phone. And that kind of picked up a little bit. I didn't believe it. I was like, yeah, whatever. They're not going to do a budget phone. What? SE? Replacement of the SE? iPhone 9? And everybody made fun of them because they're like, oh, you already got the iPhone 10 and the 11. Why would you go to 12? Why would you go back to 9? So that didn't happen.
That was the only thing with the rumors that I didn't believe.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's not, Apple would not.
No.
They're weird, but they're not that weird.
Not that. Well, who knows? You never know. I mean,
yeah, that's true. True.
So, the rumors start going about, and it seems to be getting more steam. And it's like, okay, I guess this is legit. Apple's, heading into the budget. It's still a $400 phone. It's, what I mean, budget these days. And with everything going on in the world in these uncertain times, everything starts shutting down and everyone's like, okay, well, are they still going to have an event? OnePlus had their event yesterday and they did it in an empty thing, which you have to do. And, I think the presentation was good for what it was, but that's something that we'll talk about. But Apple introduces off kilter, off what they would normally do. They just do a press release for the iPhone. And it seems like they've got a lot of people who would typically go to the events giving them this information so they could at least put a video out. That's
Right.
that's how I saw it. You know, Marquez, John, TLD.
Does anybody have the phone?
No, nobody
Okay.
has the phone yet because it's just the announcement. So it just like you go in and you get to see the the device there. You know, whether
Okay,
or not
yeah,
anyone
gotcha.
has one, it's under embargo. I would assume if it's coming
I
out.
just thought that because doesn't usually John and Marquez and them when they go to that, they get the device that day, don't they? With the phones?
Who
Because isn't it usually like the
probably?
next week? You know, when not when the embargo, but when it actually ships.
Yeah.
Because usually when they release their video, and they're like, "Yeah, I've had it for a week," and blah blah blah. So I just assumed that when they went there, when they were leaving, they're like, "There you go."
I think they send them to them. That's a
Okay, so that's why I
conversation we've
sort of
never
thought maybe
had.
today they would just be like, "Yeah,
Just give
you're
it to
shipping
them.
out the phone and blah blah blah." But, you
Yeah.
know,
I'm sure they weren't. Their logistics probably wasn't at that point at that point yet. But yeah, I mean, they would typically, like you said, on the 24th is when they ship or when they arrive. Pre-orders are this Friday, and they're going to be. That's probably when they'll release their video. So yeah, I would think that they would have gotten them at the event today or on Friday during the pre-order.
another thing I don't know this for a fact, but I assume that they give them the option to buy it early. I don't believe
Hmm.
that Apple gives them the device.
You
You
know
think
what?
Apple gives it to them?
I don't know. Or they let them borrow it and they have to return it.
And then they have to, because Marquez usually, I think, I can't remember what device it was. It's some Apple thing. It was either the phone or an iPad. And like he did his video and he had it. I've been using it for a week, whatever. But then you follow him on social media and he was opening like another one and like, this is the one that I ordered. And I'm like, okay, did they just
Yeah,
give you a loaner for the week or,
probably.
you know? So.
Probably. Well, I know that I joke with Morrison when they did the Mac Pro. I was like, "So, what are you doing with that?" And he was like, boxing it up and sending it back. I'm like, "Oh, that hurts." He's like, "You're telling me." So, yeah, so that was, something along those lines. But did you see now I don't know. I don't follow no, this is I don't follow Marquez on Twitter anymore. It's been a long
Okay.
time. But
Yeah.
someone retweeted his new office and they had just casually a palette of Mac Pros. I'm like,
And it was Mac Pros and displays.
yeah. I was like, and he goes, "Did you know that if you order so many displays, they said the whole palette?" I was like, "That's boss level, Marquez. I'm
Yeah.
sorry."
Yeah.
That's
That's yes. Very subtle flex there.
exactly.
He just set it on top of his Tesla because it costs more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, but
But see,
yeah,
you know what I was surprised about with the SE2 or second gen or whatever they're calling
yeah, don't call it
it is
the
that I thought
SE2.
the XR is their budget, right?
You know what? Let me
Granted,
pull
it's
it up.
$600.
Yeah, I mean
It's
that was
$599 for a 64 gig version. It's only got 64 128, which I believe isn't that what the new one has as well?
uh 128 and 256.
Oh, really?
Yes. 128. I'm sorry, 64, 128, and 256
Oh,
gigabytes.
okay, okay.
Yeah, the
And
XR.
obviously, you got the newer specs and all that stuff, but I
Yeah,
guess what the biggest difference would be the screen, right? The front, the home button versus not the home button.
the Face ID. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's funny because yeah, the XR is still available for 599. The XS, which is newer, is the one that's not through Apple. You can get it at authorized resellers. I don't know what that's going for because that's the newer one, the XS.
Right, right,
And the XR was the quote unquote budget, but that's at 599. They
right.
discontinued the iPhone 8 today with the announcement of the SE.
Hmm.
And one of the first things people talked about was, "Oh, give me something that looks exactly like the iPhone 8 but in 2020." And when you look at it, you've got, clearly two generations of chips. They put the A13 in it, which is the same as the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, and 11. I don't know if the 11 Pro Max is the X version. I don't even know, to be completely honest with you. But you get 256 gig additional storage if you want to. And I saw that there was some features with the camera that the iPhone 8 didn't have. Portrait mode with bokeh, I think, was one of them. The front
Yeah, where you can
facing.
adjust your depth of field and
Yeah, they.
stupid spotlight stuff and all that.
Yeah. So again, gimmicks if you really use it
Yeah.
or not. I don't think you could do 60 frames a second in 4K for dynamic range. Extended dynamic range wasn't available or
Yeah, I think
something. It
that's the
didn't.
new thing. I think that's all tied to that A13, right? The
What's
chip.
that?
I think it's all tied to the chip.
Yeah. So there's some things that it can and can't do, but you know, at the end of the day, it's still gonna scream. It's gonna
Oh
move.
yeah, their marketing for that I think was very funny. Where it's like the iPhone 11 Max Pro wants its chip back or something like that or
Yeah.
whatever. Because when I found out, I was sort of like, oh, what the hell? Why you giving this budget thing what you were touting
Yeah.
on my $1,100-$1,200 phone?
Mhm.
I see there's other stuff, the screen, the cameras, all that, whatever. But it's like that was a huge selling point.
It was. It was a huge
Right.
selling point, but you know, apparently they haven't had them left over. So they just started throwing them into this. You know, now
Mm-hmm.
they are supposed to be coming out, which totally boggles my mind. A larger version of this SE.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a max version or plus version,
Mm.
whatever you want to call it. But I don't see the point of that if like what's the point of that? Help me out here. Like I don't
Well,
see.
if it's that's usually wasn't it back in our day? We were like was it like $100 more
Yeah,
for the
something like
plus?
that. Yeah.
So I mean, you're looking at you would jump from $399 to $499.
Right.
So then you're only $100 off from the XR,
Right.
which I believe you would have around the same size screen,
Right.
just a smaller form factor though, right?
Right.
Isn't that how it was with the X?
Yeah.
It was the same. The 10. I'm sorry. It was the same screen size, but it was smaller body because you got rid of the upper chin, lower chin, Touch ID, the
Right.
home button. So I think that you're in that. So now you're going to have a bigger phone. And what's the selling point going to be? You have Touch ID? Because they were touting that in their little promo video. Lou brought up a good point in his video about the SE2 and it was sort of just like a passing comment, but it's something that I've noticed because I've been out shopping, in the last week or so, and I have a mask on and stuff. And your ID does not work with a mask on, right?
I had that
Like
happen
you
at
have
the
to
grocery
take it
store.
all the way down to like below your nose, almost to your lip, before it'll actually just say, "Okay, that's you."
Yep.
I don't imagine that Apple hey, we see this coming. We're going to produce a phone with Touch ID because this is going to, this is
No, that was already done.
before. But I believe that is why they're showing you Touch ID so prominently, because it is something that maybe people are going to think of if you're buying a new phone or something, because what was going on right now isn't going to clear up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whenever the country, out from under being shut down.
Right.
So you're still going to have social distancing. You're still going to have people wearing masks. But it is an interesting thing that I think that I personally think, I don't know this for a fact, it could be, I don't remember them touting Touch ID with the iPhone 8 or when they, were calling that. I don't remember that being like a huge feature because your flagship phones have Face ID, and that's that's your feature for that.
Right.
But I don't know. I thought it was very interesting that Lou brought up because I did have that issue where I'm out and I had to take my mask down, open my phone, or and I might have just get rid of my phone for a while.
You're starting to break up a little bit there.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm locking my phone.
Right. You broke up a little bit there, but you're good now. So, but yeah, so I don't know. I mean, just as far as there being much of a difference, everything is pretty much identical. But, I still think it's something that people are going to look at. Offered for a less price too. A cheaper price, because the iPhone 8s were not going for $399.
Right, well, they were up there, weren't they?
Yeah, they were still up there, And it was
I'm
funny.
just I'm really surprised at the lineup now
Yeah.
because you were at what, one, two, three, four different.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, I think the way I would have thought is you would have had an XR2
Right.
with the same thing, the new chip, all that stuff, have it for $499.
Well, I think like you said, I think there is a market for keeping the Touch ID.
Yeah,
I really do think there is a market for that, and I think they thought, but that sounds weird. I think they thought. I think their reasoning is we'll offer the XR at $599 for a little bit more expensive because you get the Face ID, you get the larger screen. Um, what else do you get with that? You still get the A12, so it's not an extremely old generation chip. It's just one behind,
right.
and they'll probably update that maybe as a mid tier. I don't know. Like that's if that would even be around, because like you said, that's too many phones.
See, but because you jump to the iPhone 11, it's $100 more.
Mm-hmm.
It's $699 for entry level there, which is 64 gigs. But that's apples to apples
Right.
for the XR. And so you're talking, most people are doing plans, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
majority of people are. So you're looking for the 11, you're talking $29 or something, and for the XR, it's 25.
Right.
For $4 more,
Hmm.
anybody that knows anything, I mean, even just a consumer just looking at pricing and stuff like that, is going to say, hey, well, the 11 just came out this year or last year,
Right.
and the XR came out a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So for $5 more a month, I can have the newer one with dual cameras, all these cool little tricks, and blah blah blah. It's just it's very contested.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with that. Now, when the 11 came out, was it $699 to start always?
Mm.
I think it
That's a good
was.
question. So 7, yeah. Because what was it? I always look at the pros. I don't think I looked at the.
The 11 Pro is $999, which I think is correct. So yeah, $799 maybe. Here, I have to go back and look. Maybe someone in the chat can uh
Hmm.
$699. Was
Okay.
starting
Well,
price is $699 for
it
64
just
gigs.
seems like, I mean, I guess $100 to the average, $100, $100.
Yeah. Now I know one of the things they usually end up doing with these, if they're going to keep them around, is they get rid of a capacity. Like they'll get rid of the 64 or the 128, and they'll have 64 or 256. That's something that I noticed that they tend to do a lot with phones when they start bringing them in.
Right. Give you less options, or just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So here's here's the other thing. We got Henry in the chat. The SC starting at $599 in Canada. I think Larry knows where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Henry, how much do you pay for health insurance each month? What's your premium? How much does it cost you? I'm gonna guess, unless you've got some sort of private insurance, because if that's something that they offer, that you have universal health care. Gotta pay for it somehow, buddy. We're dropping
I
on.
don't think they pay much. There's a dude that I work with that lives in Canada that comes over every day, and if I'm not mistaken, it's only like 100 and some bucks, $100. He's single, so obviously it's probably different. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
for universal health care and some of the stuff they have over there,
it's got to be paid for somehow.
yeah,
Carrie's got a really good job. It's got good health insurance, but we're still dropping a lot of money for health insurance. Not to mention the fact that the health insurance we have to spend so much before we reach the threshold. I think it's like $5,000. So
we were lucky this year when I was in Tennessee every year because the company was based in Michigan and we were sort of a satellite. So we were off insurance, and because we were out of state, we had no PTO. Like there was
oh
no.
god.
So yes, you
Yeah.
can go wherever you want, but it was this year we were able to some low and like we just got like, oh, what is that? It's like, oh, yeah, it's not.
Gotcha. Oh, you were checked for Brian's comparison. I gotcha. Sorry, Henry, I'm not breaking your balls.
We don't believe you.
So, but
Great
yeah.
organization.
So with the introduction of this phone, with the few people that are sitting in our chat right now, what do you think of the value that you're getting for that? And I guess I'll turn that over to you, Larry. I know we've been talking about it since, but for $399, I mean, let's step back. As a consumer, if your wife or my wife walked into the Apple store or walked into Verizon or T-Mobile or whatever, and you know what Apple is, your husband uses it, whatever, and they hand you the iPhone SE second gen. It's not the iPhone SE 2. Okay, stop calling it the 2, people. Gonna put that out there now. It's not the iPhone SE 2. It's the second generation. Stop calling it the SE2 in your video titles. It's not what it is. You know who I'm talking to. But they hand that phone to them for $399 and say, you know, oh, iPhones are expensive. Well, but this one's $400. Oh, well, that's not too bad. I could go for that. Do you think that? I mean, that's something.
Well, look at in my mind. Look at it this way: we're talking about average consumer, not your average consumer, just an average consumer. I don't think your wife and my wife would go in and buy a phone without us.
No.
So, but the average person, they walk in and say, "Man, I wish I could get an iPhone, but I've always had this cheap LG PT Wii." You know what I mean? Like the one that it costs you literally $100 out the door, no contract,
right?
And it's garbage. Like it stutters for everything. You try to open the camera and back in. Like that's what they're used to when they look at budget.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm joking. Maybe $250, $300. That's cheap for a phone. Now you flip around and you're looking at the Mercedes-Benz of cell phones, and they're saying, hey, you know what? You can get the same engine as our $120,000 model, but I'm going to give it to you for $20,000. Like it is a no-brainer. Yeah, you're not getting all the extra options. Yeah. You're not getting the huge touchscreen panel. You're not getting the auto driver. You're not getting heated seats, air conditioned steering wheel. You're getting a base model Mercedes, but with the same engine, the same safety features, the same, major things that you know about Mercedes.
Yep.
But you're getting it for dirt cheap. Like, I think that like this right here, now that we've been talking about it, this is, in my opinion, is aimed at Android users.
Yeah.
Android users, not our Android users that do videos, but cheap phone users that think Apple phones are just way too expensive. I'm going to take the cheapest phone that they got, and now Apple's in that market.
Yeah.
I know guys, older dudes that like, oh, I got a new phone, and it's some LG or something I've never heard of. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome, good for you. And they're trying to show me something, and
it stops.
Yeah. It was like Android was probably when you and I got our first Android.
Yeah. Yep.
It was cool, but it was like it's creeping, and you're like, but they don't know any better.
Exactly.
So Apple can sort of entice somebody with a super cheap phone. They're not going to get that person to give a crap that it's got rules and that it's Touch ID and Face ID.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about that.
Well, it's funny. I jumped on Verizon Wireless's site, and I scroll down a little bit, and they've got the LG Stylo 5 for free. Stylo 5. It looks like a cheap knockoff of the actually it looks worse than the G7.
So what, a 4-year-old phone?
Yeah.
3-year-old phone?
Yeah.
And then it's a knockoff version of that. It's a budget version of year-old phone.
Yeah, it's the budget version of that phone. That's and they've got the now we've used Alcatel phones. They've got something
Hmm.
called the Alcatel Avalon 5V or whatever you want to call it.
I'm pretty sure I have it.
Okay. So it's like the budget of the it's like the budget of the budget,
Pretty sure. Hold on.
Okay. So, when you're sitting out there at these stores and they're offering you, do you have it?
3V.
3V. There you go. So, no, what I'm saying as far as the health insurance, Brian, goes is that the exchange is going to be different, but the reason why that the exchange doesn't match up from what you're used to is because there is a luxury tax or luxury increase for that the government is probably making Apple pay to say, you want to sell it over here? We got to pay for their insurance. So if you're going to sell a product over here, there's going to be a luxury tax, and you can take and sit there and look at the conversion rate all day and pull your hair out and go, how come the dollar isn't the same thing if I were to go and exchange money that day? Is because they're probably being charged a luxury tax to sell that phone up in Canada, because Canada's got to pay for the health insurance for that universal health care. That's how I always saw it. What's that?
They got to pay for the wall, right?
No, wrong side.
No, my bad. Somebody's got to pay for it.
Yeah, but no, Brian, you're absolutely right. I wouldn't, I don't blame you for not wanting to pay $800 for a cell phone.
It is crazy. I always hear about, like, Justin would always talk about that stuff in Canada. Like, it's just so ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
the difference.
Yeah, it is. There's a big difference, and
we have that stuff in the States too.
What's that?
Like we have that stuff in the States too. Like an apartment here in Michigan, or a house here in Michigan that costs $1 million in Tennessee costs $250,000.
Oh yeah. If we had this,
it's crazy.
Yeah, if the house I live in now with the property we got was for sale down where we used to live in the Philadelphia in Delaware County, it would have easily been a $700,000 house. We wouldn't have been able to afford it. It would more than double for the size of the house that this is. There's no way we'd be able to afford it. But now we're up in the middle of nowhere where there barely is any jobs. It's a $300,000 house. So, again, wouldn't be able to afford it. So, but yeah. So you walk in and you see this phone in front of you for $399. That's a name brand that, as someone said in the chat, gets 4 to 5 years of software upgrades, before they start slowing it down.
Yeah.
And, I'll be completely honest with you. If you still got a phone after 5 years and you start complaining that Apple slowed it down, I'm sorry. You need to stop being so cheap and get a new phone.
You've got your money's worth long ago.
Absolutely, with all the upgrades and all the updates. I mean, hell, this poor LG G8X that I have here, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not getting Android 11. It might, but I probably have to sideload it to get it on there.
But that, like I said, we've been talking. I think Apple. I think this is a good. I don't understand how many different versions Apple have. Like if they come out with like you said, a plus version of this or whatever Max or whatever they're going to call it. I just look at the top of their website and they have like the little outlines. It's like so much. It doesn't look cohesive.
Yeah,
they're trying to see what they're doing. Like they're trying to make it even, but it's not quite there. And it's like I don't know. I think that they're right with this. I think they're going to sell a lot of these phones. Mm-hmm. I mean, the other thing too, like first phone, like we talked about this privately probably, but when your kid wants a tablet, you're like, okay, yeah, well, I could, and I tried. I'm sure you did. Let's get the Amazon Fire tablet for $99. So let's try this. Let's try that. And you're just like, the experience is horrible.
Yep.
Some adults can deal with that. Kids can't deal with that. I can't deal with it.
I can't handle it.
Like, whatever. Like, people I was talking about with those phones can deal with it because that's all they know.
Yeah.
You get yourself a an iPad, and iPads are super cheap, but you're talking about your kid wanting their first phone. You want to get Find My Friends. You want iMessage. You want
Yep.
FaceTime or a grandparent. This is right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
You know what? And here's the thing. I'm having a hard time with the iPads
Yeah.
because this is another one. If you look at the website, it's another one that's getting a little crowded. It's
Hmm.
not as bad as the phones, but they're still busting out an iPad Mini, the iPad Air, and then the two iPad Pros.
Yeah.
And you start comparing those, and I got my daughter the iPad, which I think was, what are they up to now? Is this the 7th gen for just the regular iPad?
I don't even know, honestly.
I think it's the
It seems
7th
like it's
gen.
more than that because it's been out for 10 years.
Yeah, I know. But I
Because
got
my
my
two just
daughter
came out
that
the other day, though.
well, I bought my daughter that one on Swappa, and I got it for like, it was dirt cheap. Let me see. I think it still shows up on here. Yeah, I got the 6th gen iPad, 128 gig, uh, LTE version for $310 on May 5th, 2019. I got it for $310, brand new, not
Well,
used.
and again, it's weird with Apple because the iPad Mini, I think the baseline for that one is, if I'm not mistaken, 500
For what?
or 400. 400 for 64 gig. If you get an iPad, 64 gigs for
Oh, it's
yeah,
useless. Yeah. But you know what?
128.
This 7th gen iPad, they've got a 32 gig version.
Yeah.
Who can do anything with 32 gig?
That's what my kids got. I tried the same version you have. They got it a few years ago for Christmas. And it's the same thing. Like every few days, you're like, you got to take something off or
Yeah.
take something. That's why, like, if you look at any more, it's going to be 128. And that's the thing. The iPad, like you said, there's a 32 gig and 128.
Mm-hmm.
And the 128 newest iPad, which you can use Apple Pencil on, is
Yep.
$429.
It's totally worth it.
Right. And the Mini though is $399
Yeah.
for the 64, I believe.
So why wouldn't you just get for just a little?
Yes, if you want that form factor, but
Yeah.
I just
For the value, I just don't see it, and then you've got the iPad Air, which I don't even understand why that still exists, but
don't either. Once they made it where the regular iPad could use the pencil,
bless you.
I tried muting quick enough, but I couldn't get to it.
Yeah. And
I
listen,
don't.
I know there's a lot that the iPad Pros offer and a lot that they do. But man, I'll sit there and say to my wife, I want to pick up the 11-inch, and I'd have to get the 256 or the 512 because I'm going to want to edit on it. 512, we're talking $1,000.
I think you'd be surprised though, because I had the 256 because the old, and to catch anybody up, I sold the 12.9, the 2018 version that I had in Christmas of 2018, I think. And I got because the version of 2018, the low end, was 64, which is
Ooh.
ridiculous. But
Yeah.
now 128.
Yep.
11 is 28, you're talking 79. And the reason I went 128 is because I looked at 12.9 that I had been using for 2 years, and I was never above 100 gigs.
Wow.
Whenever I did edit, you can edit off of you can edit off your hard drive, your
Right.
SSD. But I would
Okay.
always just drop it into files. I never had anything that crazy.
Yeah.
But 128, like, I think it's perfect.
It's
Yeah,
enough.
obviously, if you're going to be doing more, you should get the bigger, whatever.
Yeah.
56 was
But
But
man,
like
I just
for 800,
for me, and I always go back to the idea that and this also falls into into the iPhone SE as well. There's certain things that I want to do on my device that I feel like that I'd be compromising on the iPad when for $1,000 I could just spend another like $500 and get last year's laptop, or I just have a
I thought
hard.
about that too. I thought about jumping to the Air to just be like, for what I use the iPad for, but I like drawing a lot on the iPad, like a lot. Also with like the 11 inch that I'm gonna end up getting,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I want to like read more books on it. Stuff like that. I think that form factor will be a lot better than the 12.9.
Yeah,
12.9, I did like it did a split screen. It had more real estate stuff, but I think the 11 is going to be the right size.
yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah. Henry said in the chat, conspiracy theory alert. iPad Pro with trackpad and mouse support will be used for Mac OS on ARM Dev Beta work before the ARM MacBook Pros are released. I would love to see. I would love to see a hybrid. We've been saying this for 3 years now, 4 years now.
Yeah.
A hybrid OS that would allow some of the higher end software be geared towards the iPad, i.e., in Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut Pro. Well, in my opinion, Apple's going to say, hey, if you want to edit like you want to edit on Final Cut Pro, you buy one of our damn computers.
You buy a laptop. Yeah, I agree.
If you want to do it on iPad, we have iMovie.
Yeah, or LumaFusion, which they seem to be.
I can see them buying LumaFusion and like making it a better version of iMovie.
That's a good idea.
And calling it like iMovie Pro or some crap.
Yeah, and charging.
Add some features in there, maybe some the transitions and titles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've edited with it. I do like with the mouse. I think that's. I really want to get the iPad thing, like the cover.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. But it's like I think it would be really cool. I don't know. I had the keyboard cover before with my 12.9, and I didn't use it that often. Every once in a while, but it wasn't. And that was only like 179 or 190.
Yeah.
You're talking for a 12.9. Do you think it is?
With 12.9?
11?
Yeah.
And I'm not a big trackpad guy. I like having the mouse. I'm more of a mouse fan.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize they've got 3 of these. There's the Smart Keyboard, which is still $159. Then the Folio, which is $179, and of course this Magic Keyboard.
With the trackpad.
Yeah, for $300, and it supports the 12.9 third and fourth gen, and the iPad Pro 11-inch first and second gen. And this, by the way, guys, not that anyone probably already know in this room, they started shipping those today. Or not shipping, but you could order them today as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
you can get it like next week.
Yeah, and Detroit Borg ordered like 10 of them because he's got 10 iPads.
Well, he's right around the corner. Maybe I can get him to leave 1 6 foot away from me.
There you go. Just start.
I had a
start
side
stalking
note.
him.
I had a company reach out about something, and they're sending me stuff, and I gave my address. They're like, "Hey, it looks like you live at the Detroit Borg."
Who?
I go, yeah.
Who?
I go, yeah, we're in
I don't know that guy. I made that guy.
I don't think anybody's met him, but
yeah, poor guy. But yeah, I had a conversation with someone today about the iPad and then the Magic Keyboard, and just for me, it's not right for me for what I do right now. I don't think I would spend enough time on it to make it worthwhile for what I do. Maybe down the road I'll give it a try. I'll try the LumaFusion for a remote setup, but again, when you start dropping $1,000 on an iPad or $800 on an iPad, and then you're spending another $300 on a keyboard, to make it like a laptop.
right.
It's like, what are you doing? So now you're making it like a laptop, but it's not a laptop, and you're blurring those lines. So, hey, listen, if you could do a actual laptop that would interface with the keyboard on there at some point for additional storage or power, and you can peel it off and do a modified version of what it is that you're using as a touchscreen, I mean, could you see Apple going down that road at some point? I mean, I don't think you could go that thin. Yeah, they
This
tried.
thing is not. I've owned that thing for that. I've owned the Surface Book since it came out. I used to have the 13. That's the two.
I remember when you
15-inch.
got it. You were like, this could be it. This could be it. And then I didn't hear anything else about it.
I've taken that off to use it as a tablet maybe once. Like the writing experience is horrible. Like Windows is horrible for touch. Like
Yeah.
if Apple does a touch version of something like that, which essentially would be what the iPad would be.
Yeah.
I can use my iPad at work for everything. I can get onto our server.
That's nice.
We have 365 for everything.
Yeah.
I can use all that on my iPad. Like I use my iPad all the time at work when I used to go to work. So that trackpad thing would make sense. So like in meetings or something, or writing up, doing spreadsheets and stuff, like it would make sense. I could make it work.
Mhm.
I would make it work. It would be worth the money. I could find value in it.
Right.
There's one program that I use that is not compatible with neither Mac or iPad, and it's a legacy enterprise that they're never going to look at making it for anything else. They're just like, we're good.
This works.
But if it was that, I literally would use my iPad for everything.
Wow. That's nice. That's really nice. But yeah, I mean, I don't see Apple blurring those lines too much more right now, unless
it doesn't make business wise. It doesn't make sense either, right? I mean,
well, no, it would end up bleeding into each other's, and then the price.
You're going to cut into your own profit.
Yeah, and then the hand holding that tablet is going to have to get isn't going to translate into a profitable product, right? Because people are going to be going, okay, so I don't need a MacBook Air because the iPad Pro is $1,200, because that's what it's going to end up being. I mean, if you get anything more that's going to be any more powerful, able to do that, you start, like you said, it starts bleeding into that. So, I can wish and dream, we can wish and dream and hope for it, but maybe someday, they will. But, at this point, I don't need to be touching my screen on my MacBook Pro. I barely use the touch bar. I only use the touch bar because I have to with the volume.
Yeah.
And even then I'm like, where did it go? I hit that button. Oh, that's not the right one. Yeah. And then I'm turning the screen brightness down. And
well, that's the same thing with the Surface Book. I don't use that for touch at all, ever.
No. So I wouldn't use the touch screen for it
when I'm pointing at something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I see my wife's fingerprints all over the screen on the laptop too. It's hers, so she uses it. But I said that I wanted to try to edit on it, and I've taken it places, and I've tried to do it. I've put stuff on it so I can edit on it, and I just don't. I don't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy editing on it. So that's why I'm going to keep sticking with an iMac. And, I'm pulling the trigger on an iMac this year, whether it's a 2020, if they release them. Maybe I'll wait till next year. But, this iMac is slowly but surely, as you know, this iMac is slowly but surely getting too old as a 2015. So we're late 2015. So we'll be 5 years at the end of this year.
I think that's what I got. Same thing.
Oh, you do have a 2015. I thought yours was a 14.
Maybe it is. Yeah, it is late 14. Yep.
The gestures for and I'm going to have to defer to you on this one. Henry says the gestures for the iPad are not intuitive. Definitely needs several educational videos for that. Do you agree? As I don't know what those are.
I would say that they're intuitive, but there's a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
And not a lot, but saying there's 20. Well, like to swipe up and get like another window side by side is easy. Like you swipe up, your toolbar's down there, you hold on it, you drag it over, it's there. Not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But then the window where it's like the little window on the side, Like I just found out the other day that you can like have a bunch of those open and sort of scroll through and like go behind you. I'm like, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I did at some point I watched the video, but like I never used that with my iPad.
Right.
So intuitive, yeah. We talked to like I couldn't give my wife my iPad Pro. She has I got her for Christmas last year the newer iPad that you can use the Apple Simple one.
The 7th gen.
I don't think you can take my iPad Pro and know how to do everything.
To do the same thing.
It would take a little bit, but it's the same thing like going from the S to the S, right? I mean,
oh yeah, my wife doesn't know how to swipe up from the bottom to pull up windows to close them. My daughter knows how to do it and she doesn't. It's just she had the button the whole time to be able to double tap on the home button.
That's what when I got the 10, Shannon's like, oh, I will never want one.
Mm-hmm.
And then she ended up getting a 10.
Yeah.
And I got her now, and it's like, I don't think she can go back. It's like
you get used to it.
It's nice.
Yeah. And I think that's a big change, but that's again why I think they stuck with that home button for that market and $399. You know, people are gonna flock to that. But you know, for me, when it comes to those gestures, even on the iMac, on the trackpad, I don't use 95% of the gestures on this when it comes to 4-fingered swipe and 3-fingered swipe and whatever other things that you can do with that. Hell, the other day I said to you, how did that guy get those extra windows on Window Finder? I've been using the MacBook, an iMac for 10 plus years, and I didn't know that you could do tabs on Window Finder and have different looks and everything that's on there. Like,
I wouldn't embarrass you by bringing that up on our podcast, but you know,
oh, I don't care. Hey, listen, I'm more than willing to learn, but I set up my whole new project for the V60. That's pretty much done. I have to finish editing it up tomorrow, but I set all of that up when the new process that you showed, that video you sent me. And the only thing that's a little bit tough is, like, I will start editing a video and then I will go look for things like effects or video or audio, music and stuff like that. So I have to add that into the process of downloading it, putting it onto that external SSD that I have it on, you know, instead of putting it on the computer, put it to that. And then I have to go into, Final Cut Pro 10 and then to download it into that. And usually when I would first do it, I would just do the folders. So I got the audio folder, the video folder, and then I would do that. I made the mistake today of adding 2 sound effects to 5 that were already in there, and I clicked on it, and it accidentally added it to the main portion. So I just dropped and dragged it to the right folder, but then I realized I was like, oh, I need to. I never put that folder in there to be able to drag it in there. So it certainly, my Final Cut Pro looks 10 times different in this video than it did the last one, because I did exactly what that guy said. I just drug in all the footage, and it was such a pain in the ass to find things.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's why, like I said, you and I sort of had the same epiphany without even talking to each other, that we wanted to get to a cleaner place and a cleaner thing with that. And
well, I would see my buddy Jay using DaVinci Resolve, a free software. And what I dig and absolutely love about his software is when you bring in the video, it puts it on a line, and then the audio goes on a different line. If you delete the video, it doesn't delete your audio because you accidentally have it sitting on a smidgen of your video feed, and you delete and go, where the hell did all my audio go? Oh, Command Z or Control Z, you know, to get it back and go, oh, look, I didn't clip it right there, like where I clipped it. That doesn't do that in there. So it's a very different format. I was like, that is organized, you know, and I like the way that he did it and everything. And, you know, I had told him what I did with my Finder and doing that, and I told him that I didn't transcode for proxy and the other thing, and Final Cut Pro crashed like every 3 seconds. So I transcoded that stuff, and it works out just fine. So I don't do that now. So it's works out much better, and it's a lot
Yeah.
smoother now. I'm way happier with the way that it's working. So, and it's just it's decent now. So I'm very, very happy with that. And I'm keeping my drive. It's got 418 gigs available. So I'm using 90 gigs on my system hard drive. So I'm being very good. But so it's 10:15. I know you just wanted to keep it to an hour, which is about where we're at.
Yeah. Let's wrap up.
Are you gonna be buying a 64 gigger? Because there's no sense getting more than a 64 gig.
The SE?
Yeah.
No, I'm not even getting one.
You're not gonna get one?
Nah.
I'm thinking about either getting the white one because it's the white with the black front, which looks pretty cool. But I'm thinking about beyond the color, either getting a 64 or a 128 because it's only $50 more for the 128. And if I do, maybe I'll just get the 64 and just Carrie's upstairs or not, but just give it to Beth when I'm done reviewing it. You know, if I can get it and make some decent videos on it, I was thinking of going on Swappa. And before we go, I want to check that out real quick. iPhone 8's on Swappa. I'm sure they dropped a lot. Okay. I'm thinking about getting an iPhone 8 to do a comparison video on. A good one, I only need a 64 gig. A good one from Verizon, 64 gig, $220. Just to get to use for a comparison video. That one doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad at all. So maybe I'll do that and do a video on them, to compare the two of them together. I don't know anyone that has an iPhone 8. I need to have more friends. So, but these get pretty expensive too. These people are selling these things. Mint, Verizon 64 gig iPhone 8, $449. Why would you do that when you can get a brand new?
When did they post it? They probably had it up there like a week ago or something. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is a perfect price."
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Up today, they're like, "Shit."
First off, I got a little beef with Swappa. Have you ever sold on Swappa before?
Oh yeah.
Okay. When you post a picture and you don't have the goddamn thing on or the number on it, they're all over your ass about putting it on there, showing the phone on. And I was looking at 8 pluses the other night because I wanted to do an 8 or 8 plus in 2020 because I got a friend that I've fixed right over there. As a matter of fact, he had a cracked screen, and I replaced the battery for him, and I'm doing a video for that as well, just talking about it. Is it worth it in 2020 at this point? But these guys have their phones on here, and I'm looking, and because they're a business and upload bulk, they don't have to have the number or show the phone on.
Really?
Yeah, I saw pictures. I'm looking at one right now. It doesn't show the phone on at all, and it's there's no number on it. And when you go to ask a question, on some of them, not all the businesses, but some of the businesses, you can't ask questions. It says this business does not require to be, have to answer questions. I'm like, well, then I'm not going to buy from you. If you're not going to show the phone on and I can't ask you to show pictures of the phone on, I'm not buying it. Now, that's not all the businesses. I see businesses on here that have the phone on, they have a number, and you can comment. But there's other ones on there that I looked at. I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy from you. Forget you. So that's just food for thought. Whatever. So it's all good. But anyway, let me wrap this up. And so you're not buying one. I might be buying one just to try it out for a video and whatnot. But I think people are going to be excited. Pre-sale goes on Friday. 8 a.m. Eastern time. So all you West Coasters, enjoy getting up at 5 a.m. for the second year in a row.
Oh, man.
Hey, I have no sympathy for you bastards when we were getting up at 3 a.m. for freaking iPhone launches. And then you get on there and you're half asleep and you're like, what's my PIN number for Verizon? What? Oh, I need my iPhone. What's my PIN number? You know, that wasn't all the time. They eventually fixed it to the point where I was texting you guys, my buddy Doug, and everybody being like, hey, look, I got my phone all done. All I need to go on at 3 a.m. is go, boop, done, going back to bed. And that was so nice. So now we have to roll out of bed at 7:50 later this year when we're still stuck inside from COVID. Demonetized. Damn. So, but anyway. So, for those of you still sticking around, Larry and I do plan on doing this a couple times a month. We probably would have done one maybe this coming weekend or next week or whatever normally, but if something happens or something comes up like this, if Larry and I can figure it out and work it out, we will come on live and let you know via Twitter. So follow me at Tech Examined, follow Larry at Geeky Nerd Dad, and you can see us update there if we're going to be going live or whatnot. Or if you want to know when we're going live, it might get us off of our asses and start doing something. Mobility Today finally comes in the room. You know, it's about time.
Too late.
But we're leaving, so we got to get to bed because we're old. Because it's what's today? Wednesday? Yeah, it's Wednesday. God damn, got work to do tomorrow. So, thank you for jumping on last minute. And
Good times.
I don't know what else Apple could be releasing over the coming weeks. They're doing their WWDC in June virtually, and I guess that's when they'll. Yeah, I guess that's when they'll start introducing these tags that people keep talking about for the past year. They keep saying that they're coming out. The tags.
For AR or something?
No, they're for like Tile. They're like Tile, a ripoff of Tile. They're called tags. It's like, what can we come up with?
Yeah, but Apple made them, so I'll actually buy it.
Yeah, exactly. But they'll probably be 3 times as expensive and whatnot. Aren't we all?
Just to get rid of Tile.
Dave says, bed, work, aren't we all unemployed? It is bedtime, modern day tech. I'm going to go pig out on some ice cream before I put my fat ass to bed. And,
That's so good.
So, but anyway, all right, guys. Thank you so much, Larry. Thanks for staying up and whatnot.
Yeah.
iTag, air tags. Yeah, that's what they're called. But all right, we're all talking now. The two of you as we're going off the air. You guys take it easy, and we'll see you when we see you.
See you guys.